Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Kovac Enterprises. In today's episode, we're going to go over the tires and the rear suspension and a little bit of the engine to chassis step as far as following along with the instructions. So stand by and we will be right back. Okay, as you can see in front of you, we have the tires completed, all 10 sets of them. We did have to trim out the core of each of the vinyl tires, and of course what I did was trim out the core a little smaller than it needed to be, so that the box stock type of wheels would have a tighter fit, and this is the result. So basically we have the 2 front tires and the 4 rear tires, like I said, completed and ready to go. Kind of give you a real quick close-up here. That's one of the tires for the front, and of course that's the back as well. And we'll just kind of pull one of the tires off of here for the rear, because they're all pretty much the same. So that's our result, and of course that's the back there. When I was gluing the wheels together with the tires, I noticed in the instructions that there was supposed to be a total of 10 wheel rings with the part number of 180, and when I looked at the sprues, I noticed, and I can give you a good example here by showing you the parts overview box that's on the back of the AMT kit. What we're looking at here is one sprue actually contains 8 of these wheel rings with the corresponding number of 180, but there's a total of 10, so actually they put 8 on one sprue. And if we come over here, we actually have a second sprue that actually has the remaining 2, but the problem is that these 2 sprues has a corresponding number of part 71. So even though the instructions say for all 10 wheel rings to be parts 180, there's a little bit of a discrepancy on that. So just something to look out for if you actually get this kit and you come with the same result as I did. So just kind of an observation, and just kind of wanted to point that out to you. So with that being said, the tires went together pretty well, and we'll go ahead and move along to our next part, which is the rear suspension. So stand by and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back, and as you can see, we have the rear suspension all put together and ready to go and installed on the back side of the chassis here. There's actually 13 steps to the rear suspension itself, so we'll just kind of give you a closer look on both sides here. So there we go on that one side here for you, and then of course we'll turn it around, and there's the other side right there, and then we'll go ahead and flip it around and see the underside of it as well. So like I said, everything's glued in. It was pretty well straightforward as far as putting all the parts together for the rear suspension, and that step in the instructions is now completed. And our next step was basically going to the engine to chassis in the instructions, and we ended up putting some of the parts together. Namely, we'll kind of bring it forward a little bit here again. We did manage to put together the 2 battery boxes along with the front and rear battery box brackets to the chassis itself. And we went ahead and did the 2 front fuel tank mounts as well. So again, there's the one side of it there, and you can see the other side as well when I turn it over. So I went ahead and installed those to the chassis, and that's good to go. And most of these parts that I'm putting on the chassis right now, as far as the instructions are calling for, that all these parts are supposed to be the same color as the chassis. And that's the only reason why I haven't started painting it at this point, because I want to get as many parts as I can on the chassis so I can, come time to painting, we can paint one color and we're good to go. The other part of the engine and chassis assembly, of course, is the radiator, which we went ahead and this is 2 pieces that we just go ahead and glue that together. I'm not going to put it on at this time until we get almost ready to paint. But there's a radiator. And speaking of that, we can bring the engine back over. The first step that they ask you to do is to go ahead and put the 2 rear engine mounts on the engine itself. And so what I went ahead and did and scraped away some of the gold paint so that we had good contact with the 2 white molded pieces of the rear engine mount, and we went ahead and glued that onto the engine. So basically these are ready to paint as well. So there you go. And I kind of jumped ahead a little bit to the chassis accessories in the next step of the instructions, and we went ahead and put together the basically the air reserve tank, as you can see right here. So I cleaned that up, put that together. And then of course we went to our next step here, which is the they give you 2 options, either a round fuel tank or a square type of fuel tank. So I went with the square head one. I put the parts together, and after I glued the parts together, for one thing here, I just kind of happened to notice that the right side tank is smaller than the left side tank. I guess that's par for the course for the how it's supposed to go, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that one's a little bit smaller than the other. As far as the instructions are concerned, the front part of the fuel tank end caps, and they are clearly marked on the back side of each of the end caps. One says front, the other one says rear, but in the parentheses of the instructions it says the front end caps have holes. Well, apparently my kit doesn't have holes in the front, so at this point I'm not sure if I'm supposed to drill a little hole in it so that it actually fits on the mounting of this, like so, or if we can just go ahead and glue it the way it is. So it's something to think about. So we'll see when we get to that point. But there you go. So those are the 2 fuel tanks that I'm going with there. And of course I went ahead and started kind of putting the 5th wheel together a little bit. So of course this here slides a little bit back and forth. It'll fit over here on the back side above the rear suspension, and of course then the 5th wheel goes on top like so. So basically that's where we're at in the in this segment, and we're moving along with it, and until next time we'll move forward and we'll have some more stuff done on the chassis accessory. Once I'm satisfied with gluing the parts to the chassis part itself, we'll go ahead and start painting it, and once that's done we'll move into the interior and move forward in the instructions. So until then, I hope everybody has a good weekend, and we will catch you on the next episode of the Mack Truck that is hosted by Thomas Soltis and Jeff's Model Garage. So Everybody have a good day, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.